With our presentation, thank you, JJ. I'm assuming that was JJ. So for this session, we're going to be tackling a few things. So first, let me introduce myself. My name is Aaron Schneider. I'm a career coach from the South Bend Elkhart campus. Mostly I work out of the Elkhart location. Becky Matanik, who is my coworker, is going to be my help today in running the chat. And interrupting me if people are putting questions in there, because I've learned I'm really bad at doing two things at one time. So for today, we're going to be talking about interviewing with just a little bit of elevator pitch thrown in there as well. So an outline of what we're going to talk about today, we're going to break it down into phases. I think it's really important that with something like interviewing, you think of it as what is going on before the interview, what is going on during the interview, and then what is going on after the interview. After we do that, we'll talk a little bit about the elevator pitch, like I said. Then I'm going to take you through question types, as there are multiple different ways that questions get asked during interviews. And then we're going to do an activity at the end if we have time, and hopefully then also have some leftover time for you to ask any questions that come up while I talk. But again, feel free if you have a question, either to put it in the chat, or you can just unmute yourself and yell, Aaron, and then I'll be quiet for just a second and hear what you have to say. So before the interview, you've been offered a time, you've got that set, you're really excited to get to go in and talk to these people. What is it that you need to do first? So we got to start with some research. You need to know about the company before you step into that room, and preferably at least a little bit before you submit that job application. So when you start out, you've got looking at their website. That can be just looking at their main, ooh, where did my screen go?
That was my bad. I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Just keeping it fresh.
Oh, now I don't see. There we go. Okay. Keeping me on my toes. So you've got their website. So that's a really easy way to get a lot of information. So that could be looking at who works there. What is their mission and value statements, as most will have those. Go to the About Us, learn a little bit about the history of the company, why they exist, what they do. As a little anecdote about myself and an embarrassing moment, I once went to a job fair and went up to elevator pitch myself to a company thinking that they sold house goods, and they sold clothing. So I had misunderstood what I had seen on the website. So taking some time to look into that so that you feel prepared and knowledgeable going into the situation. You can check out their social media. So many companies today have social media, whether that is on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram. Some have TikToks. There's all these different places that you can check out and learn more. And then on LinkedIn, you can also look up the people that you're going to be interviewing with. If they gave you a list of, let's say you're interviewing with 4 people, you can look them up on LinkedIn. Not only does that give you a chance to learn a little bit more about who you're going to be interviewing with, but it could also happen that you have connections and other people that you could talk to learn more and make you feel way more confident going into this situation. Then you've got looking into the interview specifics of what's going to happen. So who is going to be in on the interview? Who is going to be sitting across that table? Sometimes it could just be one person. Oftentimes you could end up with multiple. What's the structure of the interview going to be like? And this can be really important. Different career fields have different interview structures. So it could be that you're going for a full day and you have 3 separate interviews with 3 different groups. You could have to do a presentation. If you're going into education, you could have to do a mock class. So asking those questions and learning what that structure is going to be like beforehand is super important and will help you prepare. And then try and understand some of what the structure of that company may be. If you are going in as an entry-level position, try and figure out who it is that you're going to report to. And a lot of this becomes really imperative because oftentimes in interviews, you might get asked the question, tell us what you know about us. In multiple interviews that I have done, and as I was job searching just this past spring, I was asked from our website, what do you know about us? And if I had not taken the time to do that research, I would have probably put my foot in my mouth 6 different ways. So next we have what needs to happen around you before that interview. So the first thing is thinking about and practicing what your elevator pitch is going to be. That's your chance to tell them about you. And we'll actually watch a video about that here in a little bit that talks about developing your elevator pitch. But you're only going to have that first chance when they ask you, tell us about yourself and why you're interested in this position. It always is going to get asked. So think about how you are going to answer that and be prepared to answer that. It's really kind of you're guaranteed to get asked that question in any interview that you're ever in. And so that's your chance to really shine. Think about how you frame your experiences with what you have done. So it is human nature to try and oftentimes pull attention away from ourselves. So many people don't want to be just the center of attention. And so taking that, we oftentimes will say, oh, well, we did this, or the group that I was in accomplished this. But that's not why you're here. You are in this interview to sell yourself, to make yourself shine. So we want to try and get away from that we language and then focus on the I language. What were your job responsibilities? What were your tasks? What did you achieve while you were there? Because that's what they really want to know. Practice interviewing. This can be so imperative whenever you're doing interview prep. You have either Office of Career Development or an Office of CCEC on your campus. They can be there to help do mock interviews with you, because it is so, like, everyone who ever goes into an interview is going to be nervous. It's just a fact of life. It's not something that you can avoid. And so taking that practice and taking the time to become more confident is going to help bring down those levels of nervousness and really help you go in feeling confident and secure and ready to go. So this next part is so important when it comes to the virtual world that we find ourselves in. As I mentioned, I was job searching in the spring, and every single one of my interviews were either over the phone or over Zoom. So you have to test your technology. I live by Murphy's Law, and that's what it states: whatever can go wrong will go wrong. And so you want to make sure that you know what you're doing, make sure that you've tested things out, that it makes sense, that your video is compatible, that you don't need to download anything. So take the time to do that before. And think about what you're wearing. This it's always important that you dress professionally, but there may also be ways to do a subtle nod to the company in the way that you dress. For example, when I interviewed for the position that I currently have, I know that Ivy Tech's colors were green and white. And so I wore a green shirt with my suit. And so I just thought that was a fun way to pull a color into my outfit that would resonate with the people that I am interviewing with. Now, I'm a little extra, so you do not have to color coordinate your outfit with the people that you're interviewing with. However, making sure that you are professional, that you, because when you look good, you feel good. And if you are doing a Zoom interview, still dress from top to bottom, full professional. You don't want to be talking to them, you've got your suit jacket on, then you've got pajama pants, or you've got shorts and slippers, because you never know what could happen that is going to have to make you stand up, and then they could see that. And I have read horror stories on the internet about people not being dressed appropriately for the interviews that they were in. So make sure that you do that. I'm seeing a lot of blinking.
On the chat, yeah, Drew and JJ just added, when you're doing your research, another nice thing to do is to research by doing a Google search on the company. So especially if you're applying for a local company, they may have started a new project that's in the news. And if you're able to show that insight too, that can be very helpful to see anything.
Absolutely. And you can do that so easily by typing it into Google, and you can just have it show you the news. So you could see the most recent stories that have the name of the company that you're interviewing with. And if you're super serious, you could actually set a Google alert. So that way, if something happens pretty quickly, even if it's before your interview, you'll get an alert with what the breaking story is. Were there any other things in the chat to address?
Not at this time.
Okay. So next we're going to talk about what happens during that interview. So always, always, always act professional when you go into these situations. That starts from the second you get out of your car, because you never know who's going to see you in the parking lot. As soon as you walk in and you are interacting with anyone who works in the office, whether that be someone in the reception area, whether that be someone who is going to get a cup of water, they are going to potentially know who you are, and it could get back to the people that you're interviewing with if you were in any way coming off as rude when you were in that situation. So make sure that you are ready to act professional. And this also goes with the potential for your first impressions. So going into this situation could be the first time that they've had any interaction with you that wasn't either email or through the phone. So this is the first time seeing you in person. And so how you carry yourself is going to be really important into how perceptions are formed. Because first impressions are made in about 12 seconds. So when you are in an interview, most questions come from 3 places. And it's, can you do the job? Will you like the job? And can they work with you? So those are what the employers are trying to ascertain as they're having conversations with you. They need to know how well you're going to be doing it. Do you have the skills that you need? And there is some level of, are you going to be someone that they want to see every day? Because the truth of the matter is you could be spending more time with these people than you do with your family. And so they want you to be someone that they want to come into work with every day. When you're answering questions, 2 important things to remember. 1 second.
I did sign that and send it back.
Oh, I accidentally progressed. Don't overshare. Now, you do want to talk about your experiences and talk about what you have done and what your work has done, but you don't want to start oversharing to a point of it becoming personally and uncomfortable. Remember that you just met these people. And when you're talking, focus on your experience. Keep that as a center of what you do. Make sure that you're able to share examples, that you're talking about what you have done, and because that is going to demonstrate the abilities that you have. Now we'll go to the next. Make sure that you've got some questions prepared. 1 or 2 thoughtful questions at the end of an interview is more than enough. Well, not more than enough. It's exactly enough. Have at least 1 or 2. Max of 4. Taking the time to learn a little bit about them, because as much as they're interviewing you, you're also interviewing them and wanting to think about, is this somewhere where I want to work? I remember very vividly in some of my interviews, getting out of an interview and thinking, I don't think that I want to spend 40 hours a week with the people that I just talked to. And that can be very real. Now, you don't want to come in with a laundry list. 1 or 2, keep it at that. You don't want 7 or 8, 9, 10. But get them talking a little bit about what they do, because people like to talk about themselves. And I'll share a little tidbit as we talk about after the interview and another way that this becomes really important. So some general rules to interviewing. You don't discuss salary until there's an offer on the table. Oftentimes, salaries have been posted, or your hourly rates have been posted in the job description, or say that it depends upon pay, but you will know that when an offer is made. And at that point, it gives you a chance to either negotiate salary or benefits or whatever that may be. Don't give them a reason to disqualify you before you walk in the door. So that includes things like keeping email communication really professional, taking time way back before you even applied, taking the time in your resume and cover letter to make sure that there are no typos in it. Be authentic, because if you go into your interview putting on this whole air of someone who is not who you are, you could then get roped into having to portray that 40 hours a week. Now, your most authentic self may be walking in there in a flannel and leggings and sneakers. That's too authentic. So we got to find that level between ultra professional and authentic that is interview appropriate. And avoid jargon when you're answering questions. We, especially here at Ivy Tech and higher ed in general, we love our acronyms. We are CCEC, we have ASAP, we have we have BOAT, we have a whole slew of other things that I had to learn when I started working here. But if I were to go into an interview and start talking about, oh yeah, CCEC and NASA and ACPA, and the people across the table, their heads are just going to be spinning, because at the end of the question, they're going to have no idea what I just said. Well, I think that I just gave the most amazing answer ever. And so making sure that if it's something that is specific to what you have done and it is workplace jargon, to spell that out when you're talking, because you could be talking to someone who has no idea where you're coming from. After the interview, thank you notes and emails, write them. Please write them. It does not have to be a handwritten note in the mail, especially in this day and age. It can be an email that is sent, but taking the time to write those out, tailor it to the conversation that you had. And this ties back into that asking of questions that I talked about earlier, because asking a really well thought out question is going to give you the opportunity to tie something they said into that thank you note.
Hey, Aaron, Lisa has a question here, if it's okay.
Okay.
You want me to hold? She wants to know if you have a job interview and the job interview is right before or right after you're in uniform for your current job. Do you just show up in your uniform, or do you take a sick day from your current position?
That is a really good question. I know that for some, taking a sick day may not be an option. And so if there is no other option than for you to go to the interview in your uniform from work, you can qualify that and say, I apologize, I had to come right from work, hence why I am dressed still in my uniform. But whenever possible, it is best to go to an interview looking as professional as possible.
And Lisa, it is harder to find places to change with COVID these days, but I mean, even if you do have 10 minutes where you can stop at a McDonald's and change in their bathroom or somewhere, if you can squeeze that in, if you have your interview outfit prepared and with you, that can be a good thing too. You don't want to go into the office that you're applying at and ask to use their bathroom to change out of your uniform though. And then another thing that Aaron had said too, when you do come in, my best advice is don't even take your cell phone in, because even if you're waiting in the reception area and you think, okay, wait, I want to look that up again, what the company's core values are, you don't want to do that then, because that receptionist or the person out there is going to make the assumption that you're Googling or sending emails or watching a YouTube video. So by the time you walk in, if you absolutely have to carry your cell phone in with you, it should be silent and put away.
Exactly. I like that, Joe, the Superman change. Yeah, so really trying to get creative and thinking about what is it that you can do that is going to give you the opportunity to change into those more professional clothes before walking into the interview. And some other things to think about after the interview is fit, which is something that is talked about a lot. Is this somewhere that you are going to want to work, that you're going to enjoy working? That truthfully, will you be able to stand working there? And what expenses are there in taking the job? It could be that you have to relocate. It could be further away, and so you've got a longer commute, or is going to require that you move eventually or now. So all things that are just important to think about as you're going through the process. So we're going to do a quick aside because I'm sure that you are all a little tired of hearing my voice now. We're going to just do a quick conversation about elevator pitches. And I found this video that I really like that I think does a really good job of talking through what an elevator pitch is.
Hi, I'm Lauren Berger. This is my elevator pitch. Take one. Hi, I'm Lauren, and I want to do this, and I want to, oh my gosh. Hi, I'm Lauren, and I want to do everything, and I want to be your best friend, and please hire me. Hi, I'm Lauren, and I really want to work for you, and I'm so excited to be standing next to you right now, and I just want to tell you everything about me real quick. It'll only take me 10 minutes, even though we only have 30 seconds right now. Hey everybody, those elevator pitches were not so good, and I'm gonna make sure that after watching this video, you know how to do a much better version of the elevator pitch. If the executive that you would love to work for, right? The executive that works at that company that you just love was literally in an elevator with you, what would you say? It's actually a great way to think about how to present yourself in a professional setting. So I'm gonna give you the intern queen take on the elevator pitch. So in order to put together an elevator pitch, we need a couple pieces of information. We're gonna write them here. So the first step is gonna be, who are you, right? As silly as it sounds, you gotta say your name. You know, I'm Lauren Berger. It's so nice to meet you, right? You gotta say it. So then you wanna give them a little background. I'm Lauren Berger. I graduated from UCF and I'm a PR major. Okay. Now, depending on the situation, you might not be talking about college. If you meet someone years after college, you're probably going to talk about where you work right now. I'm Lauren Berger. I'm the community manager at a website called Intern Queen. And sometimes you need to give a little bit of extra context. So if you need to explain and provide context. So if you go to a school that, let's be real, no one's heard of, or if you work for a company where somebody may have not heard of it, you know what those companies are, you know what those schools are, make sure that you explain and you provide a little bit of context. You know, I go to Southwestern University, which is located in Lakeland, Florida, and known for their PR program. And I'm gonna rely on you all to be the judge of if your story needs a little bit of context, okay? The next thing that you're gonna do is make the connection. A lot of times when people do an elevator pitch, they're literally just like talking to no one. And the reality is that whenever you're pitching, you're always talking to someone, whether it's literally someone in an elevator standing next to you, whether you're pitching your business to Shark Tank, or you're just pitching it to a professor or a classroom. So you want to make that connection factor right away. You know, what are you trying to accomplish? Why do you want the person next to you to listen? Maybe you're a PR major and this is a big PR executive standing next to you. So I'm connecting what I'm doing to what the person standing next to me does. You know, I'd love for you to invest in my business because, right? You're connecting who you're talking to with what you're offering and what you're selling, which is sometimes yourself. Then the last thing that you want to do, and this is what a lot of people don't cover in the elevator pitch, but you gotta make the ask, right? You gotta make the ask. And this is the scary part because you're always putting yourself out there and you could be rejected. So I'm actually gonna give you both steps. I'm gonna say the ask, and then step 6 is gonna be the closeout. A pet peeve that I have is a lot of students email me and they ask me for advice, but they're very unclear as to what I can actually help them with. So I'll get this big email with like, I am this, and this. Thanks. And they sign their name. I don't know what to do with their email. So oftentimes I write them back and say, you know, hi Marisol, thanks for sharing. How can I help? Because I honestly don't know what they want from me. So I really encourage you to always think about the ask. For example, if you're in an elevator with someone and you want them to be your mentor, well then let's ask them to be your mentor. If you're in the elevator with someone and you want to intern for them, let's ask for an internship. If you aren't sure what you want and you really just want to connect afterward and have a way to stay in touch, let's ask about that. So I think you have to make the ask and then you have to be ready for the closeout, because typically you only have about 30 seconds and you're going to have to get out of there somehow, right? You want to always kill them with kindness, no matter what they say, and you want to close out in a very pleasant way. So let's go through all the steps real quick. So who are you? Hi, I'm Lauren Berger. Little bit of background. I graduated UCF and I was a PR major. Provide contacts. That's University of Central Florida, which is in the Orlando area. The connection. I know all about your company. I've read all about it. I know about all your clients and I am just such a fan, right? I made the connection. Now make the ask. You know, I am looking for an internship for next summer. I would love to connect with you and find out how to apply and get to the top of your list. The closeout. They say whatever they're gonna say. Thank you so much. I'll certainly stay in touch. I'll make sure to email you right after this. So nice meeting you, right? So the who you are, the background, provide context, make the connection, make the ask, and the closeout. So good luck everyone, and let's do that elevator pitch one more time. Hi, I'm Lauren Berger. So nice to meet you. I graduated from the University of Central Florida. That's in Orlando. And I was actually a PR major. I know all about your PR company and I am just fascinated by it. I've read all about you. You know, I'd actually love to intern for you this summer. I've had a lot of other internships and I wanted to ask who I could contact to potentially apply for an internship with your company. Amazing. Well, thank you so much. It was so great meeting you. I'm going to email you tonight and I definitely want to stay in touch. Thank you.
Oh, I paused it at a really creepy moment. Now went to a horror film. So I really like this video a lot, partially because I feel like I give off a very similar energy to her. But I think she does a really good job of breaking that down. Now, it's a little bit different when we're doing that in an interview, right? Because we're not now asking to contact someone because we're here. We're sitting in front of you. So it can be a little different. So I wanted to show you the way that I would introduce myself in an interview. This is not a picture of me nor a picture of my child. This is a picture of my nephew. His name is Cole and he's really cute. I didn't know what picture to put on this slide and I thought you would rather see a picture of him than me. So they would ask me, hi, welcome, Aaron. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in this job? So if I was doing this for Ivy Tech, say, hi, again, my name is Aaron Schneider. Fun fact about me is I love cardigans and lipstick. If I can match the two of them together, it's going to be a really great day. I recently graduated with my master's degree from Ohio University. Before that, I went to Kent State for marketing and advertising. I really found through both of those experiences in both college student personnel and business that I really had a passion for helping students and doing skills-based work, enjoying things like professional development and resume creating and cover letter and everything to help prepare them for their next steps. I was really interested in the student population that you serve. It's very diverse and very unique and would allow me to have a focus on being able to support these students in the best way possible. I'm really excited for this opportunity to share or to join your team. And I'm really excited to tell you more about myself throughout the course of this interview. So you're still getting, like, I fit so much information into that 20-second spot of who am I, where am I from, why am I here, what made me apply for this position in the first place, and then ending it with, instead of an ask being, I am really excited to reach out to someone, my ask is, I want to join your team. So now let's start looking through some of the question examples that we've got. So as we've just spent the past about 8 minutes talking about, the first thing is that starter, and that's that tell us about yourself and why you're interested in the job. Have your elevator pitch ready, practice it, Normally keep this answer between 30 seconds to 2 minutes on the longer end. Now, the balance is you want to practice it, you want to know it, you want to be good at it, excuse me. But you don't want to come off sounding robotic and rehearsed. So it's that fine line of tailoring it to the people that you're talking to, but knowing what you're going to say. The next question types I have coined as introspective. So those are the questions like, what is your greatest strength? Or what is your biggest achievement? Because this is really your time to shine and really highlight yourself in the best way possible, and in that really positive way. But you want to keep your examples pretty narrow. I myself, before the amount of time that I've spent interviewing, would have a tendency to start in one example, lead it to another example. We'll finish with a little sprinkle of a third example. And I have now left you all very confused just telling you how I would answer it. Now imagine if I was giving you those examples. So you want to make sure that you've got an idea in mind of where you can use an example that's narrow, that is focused and detailed, and you're able to paint that picture for the people that you're interviewing with. So be prepared for these types of questions. They're pretty common ones, and you can brainstorm what your answers may be. A really easy way to do this is just to Google common interview questions, and they'll have, especially these more introspective types, you can find them. There's so many articles all over the web. And think about what your answers would be. The web. So the next type is behavioral. And so those are more of the questions that are like, tell me about a time. So the example I put here is, talk about a time when you had to work closely with someone whose personality was very different from yours. These are the largest example questions. It's them asking, what did you do in this situation? Because then your past action is a good predictor of future behavior. And so taking an example from your past and the work that you have done is giving them an idea of how you might react to a similar situation moving forward. Now, I recommend using the STAR method when answering these types of questions. And so STAR stands for situation, task, action, and result. So situation, what was going on in this example? What was the background behind what was leading up to where you were at? The task, what was it that you needed to do as it related to this situation? The action, so that's what did you do? What steps did you take? And now this is where most people leave off. You use the STA and you get to that action, and then you're like, okay, next question. When you need to make sure that you are taking the time to get to the result. Think about, how did it end up? Quantify it when you can. If you have an example where at the end of it, you sold a product for a huge amount of money, but you're just going to tell me about the fact that you had to make the product. No, you got to get to that result. Tell me what happened. So just kind of to go back over what we've talked about, we talked about researching, that is so important. We talked about focusing on your experiences. We talked about being authentic. Please practice, practice, practice. We are here for you at Career Development and CCEC. If you want to do a mock interview, if you have an idea, if you have an interview coming up, we can help to tailor it to that. You give us the job description, or if you just in general want to get better at it. It is so important that you practice, and that will help you really get prepped and ready for that interview. So we've got some time. I want to do an activity with you all that is going to give you a little bit of a chance to practice. I know we've got a networking event coming up later this afternoon. And so I wanted to give you all a chance to kind of break out and chat with each other. So what we're going to do here, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to split you all into breakout rooms. I'll probably put 2 of you in a room. You may end up with a current CCEC staff member. You may end up with another student. It's all fun and a surprise. So the question I want you each to answer first is that or tell me about yourself. Just keep it at that. I want you to just think about it a little bit, give your the good old college try of an elevator pitch, and then I want you to think of another question to ask your partner. And looking at I lost my train of thought. So it can be something a little bit more fun. It can be a good behavioral method. You can encourage them to use the STAR method. I think either one is going to be good. And so I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. And so I'm actually going to break you all into rooms of 3 people, okay? I'm going to do it randomly. Oh, I have to. Okay, I have to do some quick math in my head. Eight. Okay, so I need 8 breakout rooms. Okay, so I'm going to hit create and you should get a notification and it's going to say join breakout room number, whatever it is. And at that point, you'll just hit OK and you'll go. I will give you somewhere between 7 to 10 minutes to do this activity because I want you all to make sure that you have a good discussion. When you are done, I'm going to bring you back into the room. And then I would love it if a few people would be able to share either what they discussed in the breakout room or something that was a recommendation from your partner. Does it sound good? Okay,
Okay.
and create. Open all rooms. So Mark, I see you're still in here with me. Did you get an invitation to join a room? Hello, Marvelous. I just sent you or you should have just gotten a pop-up to join breakout room number 8. Hello. Are y'all just hopping in now? Or I see some of you left your room. Did you get kicked out? So Jeremy and Tim, what we're doing is I sent people to breakout rooms to do a little bit of practice interviewing. So I will just send you off to a randomly assigned room. Oh, but not to room 3 then. We'll do that one and that one. Okay, Lisa, I can send you to a different room then. We'll send you to room 2 because I know Daryl is in there. And then Sri, I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Do you want to be assigned to a different room or do you just want to wait in here until I bring everyone back? Yeah, no problem. Oh wait, yes, please to which? Do you? I'll send you off to a room. So Lisa, you should have gotten a pop-up to go, looks like to room 2. It should have, I moved you to the room and it should have just like given a pop-up that said you're in like join room 2. But it might not have.
I don't
So let
see
me,
it.
okay, let me try a different room. I'll try switching you to room 6 and see if that'll do it.
They saw me come and they don't want me.
Okay, you should have gotten another invitation.
Okay, let me see. Still here. Okay, let me check it out. No, I'm still here.
Okay. Weird.
I don't know. Maybe my computer's is messed up. I don't know.
Well, we've only got about a minute until I'll pull everyone back into the room.
Okay, well then I'll just hang out.
Sorry it didn't work for you.
That's okay. It's not a big deal. I'm one of the old people in this class.
Hey, that doesn't mean anything when it comes to technology.
That's true.
There are so many people. I'm just figuring it out as I go along sometimes in this stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of rough lately because of all the virtual learning, and then you can't get on the machines where you have to have hands on to learn it to be out in the workforce with it. So it's like, oh my goodness. So yeah, it's been a pain in the tuchus.
What program are you in?
The Advanced Automation and Robotics, AART.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
And see, that already means you're smarter than me. So.
Maybe in math, but that's about it.
Well, I'm going to call everyone back.
Okay, I'll go mute then.
Give them 60 seconds. But I imagine they'll start flooding in.
I'm just glad I was able to come to this week. So.
Yeah, it's been great to have you. This has been such an amazing program for us.
Yeah.
Hey,
I hope
Aaron.
it continues.
What's up, Becky?
Okay, our room, Libby and I got in fine, and then when Marvelous got in, we had real problems with hearing her audio, and then Tim finally got in there at the end, so our group didn't really get everything discussed. So just as a disclaimer with Group 8.
Okay, that's fine. So still waiting on a few people. But they've got 4 seconds, and then it'll automatically zoom them over.
Okay.
Okay, welcome back, everyone.
Hi. Yeah.
So, we've got about 10 minutes left to this session. We'll let you out a couple minutes early so that you can get over to the next panel session, which is going to be really, really awesome and exciting. And I'll make sure to put that kiosk in the chat again to everyone now and again at the end, so that we make sure that y'all will be able to get over there. We're really excited. But in the last few minutes that I've got with you, does anyone want to unmute and talk a little bit about maybe some feedback that they got, or really anything from your breakout sessions?
You know, if I could kind of
Yes.
chime in from
Mr.
a perspective.
Aaron, I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. All I was going to say is that my follow-up question to the people that I talked to, you know, they were telling me about what they were studying, you know, what their journey is, what they're going to apply, what school they're going to apply to next. And, you know, the question I wanted to know was, well, tell me more about that. So I think that could be kind of an opportunity maybe to go a little bit deeper, you know, while still keeping it at that 30 seconds to a minute. But really, I kind of just wanted to know a little bit more.
Yeah, so including some of the why. So I don't know your name because I just have a phone number, but you started saying something.
Oh, yes. This is Jada Stell, and my colleagues, they did very, very well. We were, all three of us, somewhat apprehensive because of our nervousness. So I did ask if we could do it again. I mean, we could interview right quick again, but I think we were down to 19 seconds.
Oh.
but you know, but on the contrary, what it was that we did the elevator pitch, and they did quite well.
Good, that's great to hear. And yeah, it is. As I acknowledge that with just the 10 minutes, you kind of got to get over that hump of nervousness when you're thrown into rooms of people you may not know. But I'm happy that you were able to. Yeah, and you were able to the elevator pitches, and that's really awesome. And you know, maybe you can find the people's emails and set up a mock interview in the future.
Sure, that's a great plan.
That's why they keep me here.
Yes, exactly.
Does anyone else have?
If I could just add, when Aaron went through his elevator pitch or his tell me about yourself, his response, if you all notice, he stated his name again. Please make sure you do that in an interview, because most of the time when you're coming to a company to be interviewed, they're doing 4 or 5 interviews, okay? On that day, they set aside that time to interview the candidates.
Exactly.
And you want to continue to brand yourself so they remember, oh, it was Aaron. That's who it was. Because if you interview 4 to 5 people back to back, it can be fun, but it's also a little exhausting. And sometimes people get pulled into that interview panel at the last minute. So they may be seeing your resume for the first time 5 minutes before they go in the room to interview you. So just like we say with everything else, increase your brand, let them remember you. And you can even say it at the end again when you're thanking them that, you know, once again, my name is Aaron Schneider, and I really appreciate your time today. And I look forward to further communication. So get that brand out there so they do remember you.
And I approve that message.
Thank you.
You know, related to what
Aaron.
Becky said, you know, I don't know if people noticed that just before Jade asked her question, she said her full name. And I can tell you, I'm going to remember her from this presentation, which is exactly what you want an employer to do. So I give her a lot of props for really kind of understanding that aspect of networking.
Yeah, and Stacy just put in going into the interview with a smile. Oh, excuse me. I just inhaled too quickly. So there is making sure that whether that's on the phone or definitely if it's in video, smile when you're talking. They can hear it. You're never fully dressed without a smile, as it were. So I'm going to call it on this session. Thank you all so much for being so engaged. I really enjoyed spending this time with you, and I can speak for all of us that we've enjoyed spending time with you all throughout these past few days. Go to the employer panel. We've got some great people that are going to talk to you for the next hour, and we're really excited for it. Link is in the chat. It's that kiosk-39 link, and we'll see you all there.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
I've really learned a lot. It's truly awesome.
Good, I'm glad.
And thank you for helping us to remember to be very succinct in what we say about ourselves too. That really helps. As a former entrepreneur, I can say it really makes a difference when you're going through lots of interviews. Yep.
Oh yeah.
You're right. Okay.
Don't throw in the kitchen sink with every conversation.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close out the room.
Alrighty then.